Congress has passed a deal to avoid going over the fiscal cliff, but what comes next? Well, our newsmaker is 3rd District Representative Congressman Mike Kelly. He's joining us with more on this. Good to see you, Congressman. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, Jill. It's great to be with you also.
Wait, busy holiday break for you all. Obviously, the fiscal cliff deal. Your thoughts now that it's on the books at this point?
Well, you know, we had to get that out of the way, and now no longer will the discussion be about tax revenues and tax rates, because that deal coming together, it made permanent now the Bush tax rates that were in the early part of the and really protected 99.3% of Americans. So middle-income Americans, lower-income Americans, we really were able to solidify that for them. The estate tax, the AMT, we were able to do a lot of things that made sense. I wasn't happy with everything in the deal, but you know what? It was the best thing for America. It was the best thing for our district.
Yeah, it seemed like it was one of those things where neither side was going to be completely happy, but you were able to finally get something together. Now we have looming the debt ceiling fight. What do you want to see happen there?
Well, you know, since we've already addressed the revenues, now we need to take a really strong look at the spending. And the President has said, look, we have got to get our debt down. We've got to start addressing it. So what I would like to see, I would like to see this President draw his party together. We'll be discussing this in the floor of Congress, so it won't be behind closed doors, and it won't be between Speaker Boehner and President Obama. It'll be between the Congress and the American people to see what we have to do. We've got to bring the spending down. We are spending so much more money than we have. We're putting a tremendous burden on the future. Our children and our grandchildren are going to inherit something that none of us would ever intend for them. We've got to fix it now.
Yeah, and it seems like, too, being able to do it out there where people can see what actually takes place is huge, because I think a lot of people felt like it was kind of a secret discussion there with the fiscal cliff.
Yeah, it really was. And I think this is the way America likes to see things happen, on the floor of Congress, open to the public. They'll be able to see how it really goes, and they'll be able to see what true bipartisanship is and what a compromise can be when we're trying to solve a problem and not just make points.
Right, and let's turn now to gun control. Obviously another big topic with things that have happened over the past couple of months. Vice President Joe Biden revealing now that the President might use an executive order to deal with gun control. How far can he really go?
Well, I think this is a president that has been using executive order in a way that none of us would really approve of. When you start talking about our Constitution, and you start talking about making changes to it, and you start talking about rights that we've been granted forever by the founders, I think you've got to be careful. The district that we represent, that I represent, and that we live in, I think you talk to the folks around here, you don't want to mess with the Second Amendment or First Amendment. You don't want to mess with any of our amendments. Those are enshrined. Those are what make America great. And so I would agree that we're going to have a discussion about it, but I think the President doing an executive order would be the worst thing he could do for this country at this time right now. I think they want to see legislative action by people they elected as their legislators to go and fix things, and that's what we need to do.
And what can Congress do about it?
Well, I think, listen, I wish it was just one element. I think we've got to look at a lot of different things. We know that we have some real serious concerns when it comes to mental health and people having access to certain weapons out there. But I think there's a whole discussion to be had, Jill. I wish it was something we could just say there's a one-size-fits-all. There certainly isn't. The discussion is going to be good, and I think, again, it'll be on the floor of Congress. America will be able to weigh in on it. But I would just say you want to be very careful with amendments and amendment rights. That Second Amendment is one that's enshrined and should be.
Now, former Pennsylvania Governor and Homeland Secretary Tom Ridge was quoted recently as saying Republican outcry over Chuck Hagel's nomination to become the Defense Secretary is, quote, strident partisanship at its worst, that he wishes his GOP colleagues had shown as much zeal in solving the fiscal cliff problem. That enlisted troops would love having one of their own in charge at the Pentagon. What's your reaction to all of that?
Well, you know, I mean, this is something that has to take place in the Senate. It really doesn't have anything to do with the House of Representatives. I have heard people speak on both sides. I don't know Senator Hagel, don't know anything about the processes that goes forward. I'm not going to be involved in it, but I do think this is something that the Senate has to take care of, and this is something that takes place in the Senate. They'll have an opportunity to speak their piece, and they'll be able to get through this. Again, we've been in so many other appointments that we've talked about before. I think the ones that bother people are the ones that are made when Congress is out of session and not there. This is one that they'll have in front of the American people, and they'll be able to see really who Senator Hagel is and what is the pushback from certain Republicans as to why not nominate him for that position.
Okay, and Congressman, you said they're speaking to students. How'd the day go for you?
You know what? I love being with our young people, and I think the best thing about all this is people would be surprised how engaged they are and how worried they are about their government, our way of life, and the way America is going to go forward. So to be able to meet with them and on their ground, so they were totally unintimidated. I got to tell you, some of the questions very, very aggressive. They want to know. and they deserve to know. We have the responsibility to be here with them and answer those questions. So it was a great day for me, and I hope they enjoyed me being with them.
And Congressman Kelly, I have to say you did look nice in that cathedral prep hat. I'm sure they appreciated that, too. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks,
We really
Jill.
do appreciate it.